Hi guys, welcome to another video of the Hefni Guitar channel. Now that we've finished all 5 positions for the arpeggios, where can we take our learning? So you have already learned 5 positions for the arpeggio changes for the blues. With this information, you can start your own learning and develop your own licks and your own positions, your own changes. In any case, if you're more serious about following up on the arpeggio lessons, I'll probably be covering them more in detail on my Patreon page, so follow me over there and sign up as a patron. I appreciate your support. But the knowledge that I've covered within the 5 past lessons should be enough for you to start experimenting on your own. What exactly is the Hefni guitar method? Okay, it is not so much a technique like sweeping or tapping or legato that you use on the guitar fretboard. It's more of a learning method. How you can actually learn better on the guitar. This is a video that I've always been wanting to do. In my previous job, I was the head of department of music production and music school. And we were big on, I guess, learning technologies, like learning methods. So one of the things I think that is missing in a lot of, I guess, music schools is this. Let me give you an example, right? So if we are talking about learning, there are different levels of learning. I don't want to go into specific names of what these systems are, but follow me, okay? Just think of it this way. At the most basic level of, I guess, learning would be remembering. So say for instance, if you remember something, you watch a YouTube video and then the following day you remember what it's talking about. That's just the main essence. Just remembering gets you only so far. If you are not able to go into the details of what they were talking about, then that's as far as your, I guess, learning goes. That's the most basic level of learning. Now say for instance, if after watching that YouTube video, you took down notes, right? And then you spent maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes just going through those notes, studying what was covered. Then the following day, you could actually explain a little bit more. Oh, okay, right. That video talked about this, right? So that is the, I guess, the next higher level of learning. The next level of learning is what we call understanding. So if we were to understand what was covered in that YouTube video, you're able to, beyond just remember it, you're able to explain how it works. That's the next level up, understanding. But you can understand a topic and still not know how to use it. I'll give you an example. I've been watching some videos on negative harmony recently, right? That's not my area of expertise, right? I cannot tell you now how it actually works. I can tell you that yes, I've watched some videos talking about negative harmony, meaning I remember it, right? If you ask me what entails, what's inside negative harmony, right? Inside my brain is still a mush. I don't completely understand that. So I cannot explain it to you. That means my learning has just stopped at the remembering level, right? So another person who studied them more in detail, who already knows that, can explain to you what negative harmony we're talking about, right? So I can't, not right now. So now the next level of learning after understanding is what we call application, applying. So if you understood the topic and you can apply it, say for instance, right, what I've been covering in the past 5 lessons is the arpeggio changes over the 12-bar blues in D, right? So if you're able to play that on guitar, then you've pretty much learned it, you've understood how it works. But can you play it in time with, say, a backing track or with another musician playing the chord changes? If you can, then that's the next higher level of learning, which is application. I can apply these changes. And that's higher than understanding. And understanding is higher than remembering. So what's the next level of learning? Say for instance, you take what you learned from lesson 1, how I apply the changes at position A, group A voicings. And then I also take the changes from group B voicings and I apply it after group A voicings. So during my improvisation, I'm using group A voicings. Then I also apply group B voicings, and I also apply group C voicings in the arpeggios. So that's where I'm integrating knowledge from different levels. And this level is what we call integration, or sometimes we call it synthesis. Some of you who actually know this thing, this is actually called the Bloom's taxonomy of learning. So there are many variations of this and many revisions, but as you can see from the pyramid, at the bottommost level it's remembering, followed by understanding, then applying. The upper level, sometimes they are interchangeable, okay, and I'm applying this, I'm adapting this for music learning. So this is a higher level application or integration, where I'm integrating different pieces of knowledge, is higher than application of just one topic. I'm combining them. Right? So what's higher than this? The next level, I would say, is maybe creation. If I'm using the knowledge that I learned in this particular lesson, or in this particular lesson, I combine it, but I come up with a new song with it. I'm not just applying the knowledge, I'm creating something based on the knowledge that I've learned. I'm building something. I'm not just absorbing the knowledge and keeping it in there. I'm applying it and I'm using it to do something. So this is the creation stage. It's a very high level of learning. So after the creation stage, what comes next? And this is a point where it gets a bit hazy, but okay, follow me here. If after you've created the song, say you've played it, you've released it, now you take a step back and review and study what you've created. Right, then you take a look at it and say, maybe I could have made some changes here to make it better. Right, so this review stage is the highest level. So after I made a review and I felt that I could have made the song better, or my solo better, whatever, then I do a second round. I create it, or I recreate it, or I make a new version of the song that's better than the first version, and then I continuously review it, right? Another cycle to make it even better and even better and even better. This continuous, I suppose, improvement will make your, I guess, learning, right, at a very high level. It will also release a much better product, right? And the important part here is that you're applying this knowledge on multiple levels and on continuous improvement cycle. So this is basically how I teach and what I try to impart in the Hefni guitar method. Right now, we are still at the beginning stage of introducing all of these systems. Some of you may have learned the chords, some of you may have learned the arpeggio, some of you may have learned the scales. These are the building blocks. Okay, for those who are more serious, right, you can start to apply this method. After we understood it, let's apply it. After we apply it, right, let's integrate it or synthesize it with other knowledge. And then let's create something, let's review it, right, and then we continuously improve. So this is one of the methods that we'll do. What's coming after this? Okay, we've pretty much completed in 2022. My channel, I guess I just started all these videos from February 2022. We've covered all the chords for the jazz, blues, the jazz and the blues chords workshop. Okay. After that, we went into the scales workshop for the basic scale patterns, as well as the extended scale patterns for the major scale, as well as the harmonic and melodic minor, as well as the 3-note per string variations of those. And then we went into the arpeggios. Okay, so again, this is just the foundation stage. What's coming in 2023? Let's go into a bit higher detail of how we can apply them. And also into my favorite topic, which is pentatonics now. Pentatonics is more than just the major and minor. Okay, to me, pentatonics is a very high level of application, right? Because there are a lot of pentatonic scales, and I'll be introducing my own pentatonic, what I call the Hefni pentatonic system. And with it, you can really connect all of your chord tone soloing with your chords, your arpeggios, as well as your scales. So that's what's coming in 2023. So where we are right now, okay, let me just do a quick demonstration. Okay, what I mean. So how do we apply this method of learning? The first thing you want to ask yourself is, what is your objective? So if we take a look at the pyramid, right, we can apply this pyramid concept to whatever objective that we want. So let me give you an example. We can apply it on a micro level or on a macro level. Okay, let's take the micro level first. Applying what we've learned in the arpeggios for the past 5 videos. So let's say our objective is to get good at this arpeggios. So what we have, right, we learned our arpeggios over group A voicings. Once we're able to play the entire sequence, for instance, right? So you've understood what the changes are, what the shapes are. The next step would be to apply them. Okay, this is application, the next level higher than understanding. Okay, here are some specific examples of how you can apply. There isn't one singular way for you to apply. I'm just giving you some, I guess, prescribed ways that you can use for yourself. Maybe you can get some ideas from this for your own application. Okay, so the first thing, we've already learned how to play them. Now, the next part of application could be applying it to, say, a metronome. So say, for instance, I will set my metronome at 120, on all the downbeats. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so on and so forth. What else can you do? Let's say another form of application, you want to try to adapt it to, instead of starting on the downbeat, you're starting it on the backbeat. So instead of 1, you start it on one end. So something like this, perhaps. Okay, the downbeat would be. But if you start on the offbeat, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, sorry. Okay, so then the entire passage could sound something like this. So you can see it's the same passage but slightly off by an eighth note. Okay, granted that sometimes you might not be on a chord tone, you might be on a previous chord tone. Say for instance, the chord has already gone to the 4 chord, but you land on the chord tone on the 5 chord, right? That's fine. It's just part of application. I mean, there are many ways that you can actually play the line. But don't be too particular with regards to that. The idea here is to apply it in a different way. Okay. So what else can we do with, say, application? We can actually play it with a backing track. I don't have one right now, but say for instance you actually have a over group A voicings. So you play the arpeggio. okay, over the backing track. See, sometimes we can play it by itself, right, in isolation, but we might get stumped when suddenly there is the rhythm section playing, right, especially when we're jamming live and we didn't practice. So this is where you apply what you've learned with a backing track or with some accompaniment in order to develop that proficiency that you're able to play it not just in isolation but with others. Okay, what other examples of application can we do? So say for instance, okay, we've been playing on the downbeat so far. Okay, let's take this is the metronome at 120. I'm going to put it at 60, right, and I'm going to count the metronome on 2 and 4, meaning the beats of the metronome are going to be on 2 and 4. So for instance, 1, 4, 2, 4, 2, 3, 4. Right, it may sound the same here, but when you're applying this trick, it feels different. And if you want to play, I suppose, swing, right, you want to swing your eighth notes, this would actually be the better way. However, it is important to be able to do both so that you can play rock as well as you can play blues and your jazz. But the trick here is just a simple change on your metronome and treating it on the 2 and 4, treating the beats as a 2 and 4. That takes some time, but that's also another form of practice. So the next part of application could be, instead of playing it staccato, you want to try to play it legato but full. Say for instance, instead of you want to try to okay, there are valid points or valid, I guess, pros and cons for each, right? It would be good to be able to do both. Let me summarize application before we go back to integration. Why do we learn the sequence, right? Okay, the sequence. So let me play in time. It serves two purposes. Firstly, it trains our mind cognitively to remember the shape mentally. Secondly, it trains our fingers in order to play the shape as well as to play the changes when they change to the next arpeggio shape. Right, this is just the beginning stage. There are many ways that you can adapt this and I guess integrate this. But the idea here, the purpose here is twofold. Basically to train to learn mentally, cognitively, and at the same time to learn it as a skill physically, okay, which is your muscle memory. And why we learn it in this particular form, because this is the most basic form of your blues, your 3 chords and therefore your 3 arpeggios. Later on, I can teach you in later videos how to adapt it. Instead of just playing your standard blues, you can, based on what we've already learned, is to go into, say, maybe your jazz blues by simply changing some of these arpeggio notes. Let me demonstrate. So based on what we've learned, so we can't go into that without learning the basic 3 arpeggio change that we've been covering the arpeggio lessons so far, right? So learn them step by step, and then we will build upon our learning with more difficult and more complex stuff. Okay, back to integration. The next step after application of your lesson 1, it could be integrating with the section from lesson 2, which is your group B voicing. So say for instance, I'm integrating the first part of group A voicings and I'm combining it with the section from group B voicing. So I've actually adapted it already. Instead of just one position, I'm going to 2 positions. And then maybe I can even integrate group C voicings. So you see how that works. I'm integrating different lessons, different knowledges from different, videos into my bag of licks, for instance, or my bag of techniques. So again, right? So I've taken it from here all the way up to group C voicings. I can even continue. Okay. And go back down, for instance. Okay, and so on and so forth. So this is an example of integration beyond the level beyond application. So the next level after this is, say for instance, if I wanted to create my own song, right? So let's say I have over just that 1/4 progression, I create, instead of using the entire passage just as it is, say let me maybe adapt it. Instead of starting on the 1, I go 1. Example. So I'm mixing it up. Instead of just starting on the 1 beat, on the downbeat, I'm changing it up, I'm adapting it, and I'm creating a new, a passage. Right now I can't really remember what I just played, but I know it's not on the 1. So if I use that into creating a song, okay, maybe not a song, maybe just a lick or a solo, you're still creating something, right? So now the next level after this, to see, hey, what can I do to make it better? Instead of the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, instead of starting on the 1, I adapt it 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Sounds pretty good. I'm landing on all the chord tones. So I think back, is that good enough? Right? If it is, great. So I can take it to the next section, the next 4 bars, for instance. If I feel that I can do better with that, then, okay, let me give you an example how I can make it better. Here's another thing. I'm never comfortable with just learning a lick or a scale or arpeggio in one way. So let's take, for instance, over the 1 chord. I could already play the way that I taught in the video, but what I would like to do, I would like to adapt that, to change that into, so I'm playing the 3rd here instead of here, right? Okay, as a quick summary, this is based on, instead of using the basic pattern, I'm using the 3 notes per string pattern to get. So I can play it both ways. And the reason why I like to do this is so that I will never get stumped when the need arises. Instead of, if I don't have enough fingers to play the rear position, I can play it. I can play the root note here, the 3rd note here. Okay, so this is an example of where I would review my, my playing or my creation or my lick or even my technique, and think that what else I can do in order to change it. Okay, so I continuously do a review, create, review, right? So the highest levels of that pyramid, and until I'm happy. The fact of the matter is usually you'll never be happy. You probably get bored before you get happy, and that's a good thing because it opens up so much more knowledge for you. Looking back at this pyramid over here, the most basic level, remembering that's not very useful. What's most important when you start your learning journey would be on the understanding stage. If you understand how to use it, the next stage is how can I apply it? Okay, If you can understand it but you don't know how to apply it, you're not there yet. You're still at level 2. Okay. Application, again, all of this boils back down to what is your objective, right? So is it to be able to improvise while using a lick? Example, I just want to, my objective is just to improvise using group A voicings arpeggios. Okay, if that were the case, then your upper levels will be based on just that objective. But say if you want to create improvised lines using groups A, B, C, D, and E, right? So then your objectives for your application would be different. Your creation would be different. Okay, but in any case, it still follows this pyramid. After application would be your creation, your integration stage, which is higher than your application. After that, creation stage, then your review. This is how you can take your learning, and basically what the Hefni guitar method is all about. It is learning with a proper purpose using this pyramid. Okay, this is the Bloom's taxonomy method. I know I'm presenting it a bit too simplistic for those educators out there, but I think that this is important because a lot of guitar players would benefit from, I guess, even this layman explanation of this. There is another method that I use. I'll talk about that in another video. So in any case, I think I'll end the video in this point where we can take our learning and how you can actually learn better using, I suppose, this method. So what's in store for 2023? We'll go into our pentatonics, and our pentatonics is more than just your major and your minor, all of those exotic pentatonics for all you crazy guitarists out there. Thank you so much. If you like this video, please click the like button and consider subscribing to the channel. It'll help me very much. I'm also on Patreon, so please sign up if you like what I do and you want to learn a little bit deeper into this stuff. It's patreon.com/Hefni Guitar Method. Well, I will be seeing you in the next one. This is Rizal Hefni for the Hefni Guitar channel.